Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. So a few weeks ago now, we had the announcement of the Emperor's Children not being in the new Chaos Space Marine Codex. And given this is exactly the same thing that happened with the World Eaters last edition, leading to the return of Angron, of course it feels like an absolute certainty now that Fulgrim and the Emperor's Children Codex are on the way. Most likely the big event to end the current edition, and I cannot wait. But of course, with a Primarch's return now looming on the distant horizon, we've of course got to speculate on the next one. I mean, what kind of self-respecting lore fans would we be if we didn't? And so today we're going to be ranking the remaining Traitor Primarch returns, from what I feel are the least likely to the most. How the return of Fulgrim may have altered my opinion. And then in the next upload on Wednesday, we'll do the loyal Primarchs. So who have we got? What Traitor Primarchs are remaining? Well, we know Horus Lupercal is well and truly dead. Aside from another cloned return, there is absolutely no chance of him ever returning to the lore or the tabletop. Alfarius is also dead. However, Omegon, while rumoured to have died at the hands of Guilliman, does remain a possibility. For now at least. Conrad Curze too is dead, decapitated by the Emperor's assassin, though plenty of mystery remains regarding him wearing a soulstone at the time, all leaving Perturabo and Lorgar as the clear possibilities. So, we'll go with Omegon, Conrad, Lorgar and Perturabo as the possible options. And well, without further ado, in fourth, as the most unlikely, I have Conrad Curze. For me, Conrad is very much dead. If you read the Night Lords trilogy by Aaron Dembski Bowden, it's pretty clear, showing the hunt for the assassin in the immediate aftermath. However, I'm going to be honest here, the more Primarchs that come back, the more and more you can't help but wonder. The more it feels like, maybe, just maybe, I think we could definitely see an appearance of the Corona Nox again within the lore. The crown of Conrad's containing the Soulstone, which he was wearing at the time of his death, as it was originally claimed by the assassin, before being stolen by First Captain Sahel, which he did attempt to use as a symbol of his right to rule the Legion. Which, considering the state of the Legion now, you can guess that didn't go too well. However, I think we could well see Sahel and the crown again, reintroducing the speculation among the fanbase of a possible Conrad return, but without actually doing it. I think there's just a few too many difficulties to get around for an actual Conrad return to the tabletop. None more so than the fact he doesn't have a body. The Eldari use wraith constructs for their departed souls, and I certainly don't see anything like that for Conrad. So, a little teasing and a sighting of the Corona Nox in the lore again. Yes, absolutely, I can see that happening. However, an official return of Conrad to the lore and the tabletop? No. That I cannot see happening. So Conrad absolutely has to be the bottom of these traitor ranks for me. Now a Sevatar return. Well, that one's far more likely. His ultimate fate's still very mysterious. So maybe we could get some Conrad sightings through flashbacks with Sevatar. Now that I would love, and we'll definitely have to discuss that topic soon. However, moving on into third, I have Omegon. Now, I'm going to have to classify this one as in terms of a return to the tabletop, as if it was just an appearance within the lore, within a novel. I actually think that's something that is very, very likely, and I would in that regard have Omegon far higher. The big answers for this will come in the Scouring series, where we'll find out for certain if Omegon dies by Guilliman's hand, or not. Again, the more Primarchs return, and with Fulgrim quite possibly being next, which is a big surprise after not receiving him years ago, when it felt an absolute certainty. I'm really beginning to feel we'll see Omegon survive, laying it down for fact that he could be out there somewhere. And this could very well be followed up by an appearance within the lore, within the current setting in some manner. Omegon's fate is brought up in every Alpha Legion story, and it's clear none of the Alpha Legion actually know what happened to their Primarch, all of them having differing opinions, and so I really think it's only a matter of time until a direct reference to him being alive occurs. A new Alpha Legion warband appears, claiming to be under the Primarch's rule, or a sighting of Omegon himself, a message to the Shattered Legion, and we'll start to see the reforming of the Legion together. You could argue the novel Harrowmaster has already subtly begun this journey. And of course this could very easily happen for the tabletop too. I mean, L. Johnson's return hasn't played out exactly the way we expected, so why not? However, I have to have an Omegon return down here in third, as it's a far more difficult scenario than Perturabo or Lorgar, who are still very much heading their legion. It's not impossible by any stretch of the imagination, and at this point far more likely than a Conrad return, but there's just more work that has to be done. The Alpha Legion is completely broken down into warbands and differing cells, with no real Legion structure remaining, at least that we can see. Again, Harrowmaster could possibly be the steps to changing that, if continued, but it all remains to be seen at this point. The real definitive moment again will be that confrontation with Rabute in the Scouring. If Omegon does indeed survive that, well then, we will have an absolute game changer. Until then, Omegon remains in third. Now moving on to second, I have Perturabo. Now I can't say for sure, but it feels like the Iron Warriors are a fairly popular legion, and that Perturabo has had several name drops within the lore over recent years. We know he fought against Mortarion in the War of Rust and Ruin, ultimately losing the encounter. And we know he aided Abaddon's 13th Black Crusade by planning a vast insurrection to launch on the surrounding Imperium at the same time. So seeing Perturabo sally forth at the head of an immense Iron Warriors fleet, well, that wouldn't be the biggest shock in the world. In fact, honestly, I'm probably more surprised to see Fulgrim returning first now. Literally everything's set up for the Lord of Iron. He's been active in the lore, and still has control of his legion. It's a pretty straightforward hammer time. Maybe the biggest knock against him is simple story. Fulgrim of course is dedicated to Slaanesh, ending out the return of the 4 specific god-aligned legions. We've had Magnus, we've had Mortarion, we had Angron, and now we're ending with Fulgrim. And then after that, Lorgar seems to fit the current god-driven narrative perfectly. So you can kind of understand why we haven't had the Iron Warriors and Perturabo yet. However, again, it's a very straightforward thing when it does actually happen. So surely, It's just a matter of time for Perturabo. And so finally, in first, as the most likely Traitor Primarch to return, in the wake of the Phoenician, it is of course Lorgar. I am incredibly surprised to see Fulgrim before Lorgar. Years ago, as I said, it felt a certainty Fulgrim was coming back, but it simply didn't happen, and the narrative moved on to make it feel like Lorgar was the certainty. The Horizon just fits this moment in time perfectly. We've had Guilliman reading the Latitio Divinatus, we've got the Emperor ascending to godhood, and Lorgar's the one Primarch who said it all from the very beginning. And not only that, he was punished for it. His words, as much as the Emperor scorned him for them, became the foundation for the Imperial Creed, the religion that now dominates every fibre of the Imperium. And we can have that Primarch back, and interacting with Guilliman in this whole setting. I can't think of a more fascinating confrontation to witness. Honestly, that would probably be even more fascinating than the Lion and Guilliman's reunion to come. Just imagine that conversation between Guilliman and Lorgar regarding their father's divinity. It's gonna be absolutely amazing. And well, though I am surprised it's Fulgrim next up, it surely means now that Lorgar absolutely has to be the next traitor in line. I mean, come on, we have got to have that conversation soon. After Fulgrim, we would have had all the god-aligned Primarchs, leaving only the undivided and those not interested in chaos. And none work better right now than Lorgar. His legion has actually made fairly common appearances within the lore too, meddling in the affairs of the Imperium, exploiting what they can behind the scenes. Corpheron's even involved in the Starchild drama right now, so we could end up with a reference or two to the Horizon down the line in there, building for his appearance in the next edition. I'll be honest, the Emperor's Children and Fulgrim, as much as they make sense, again have felt like a shock to me. And so it does leave me with a little sense of anything could happen. Why not Omegon? Why not Conrad? But then when I think of it practically, this does round out the pantheon. There is common sense to Fulgrim coming now. And so in keeping with the simple common sense logic, that approach leaves me with only one clear-cut favourite after the Phoenician, and then it just has to be the Horizon Lorgar. Now, would he be favourite over a next Loyalist Primarch? Now, that I'm not too sure of. I would be stunned if they drop 2 Primarchs again at the end of this edition, like previously with Angron and the Lion. But hey, who knows? Only time will tell. So, overall, the return of Fulgrim hasn't had too much impact on my traitor return opinions, other than honestly somehow making me more inclined to think Omegon is a possibility. I don't know how that's worked out or rationalised in my head. Maybe they're not even related. But I've definitely gone from Omegon never returning over the past few years to now really beginning to think we'll see it happen one day, starting with a tease within the lore. But in keeping my rationale to common sense thinking, Perturabo and Lorgar have to remain the more likely for the tabletop right now, and none more so than the Horizon. But as always everyone, what do you think? Which of the Traitor Primarchs do you think we'll see in the aftermath of the Phoenician's return? Like me, do you see Lorgar as surely still the most obvious and relevant choice? Or do you think there could be a surprise in store? A bit like with Fulgrim now. As always everyone, leave your thoughts and rankings in the comments below. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.